All right, let me explain to y'all why I believe that there is order and balance in the universe. There is some sort of supreme intelligence behind creation. So, I made a video pretty recently where I explain what I believe is the root cause of mental illness. And just to sum it up real quick, I believe that they get people to believe in chaos, that there is no God, there is no order, it's all just chance. When you die, you stop existing. And I believe that baseline philosophy can lead to mental illness, because then if they can get you to believe that all it's chaos, there is no balance, there's no karma, there's no nothing, there's no sense to anything, well then if you believe that's how the world works, you're probably on a subconscious level going to believe that's how the brain works. There's no order, it's chaos, And so what's the definition of insanity? I think Einstein said it: repeating the same thing over and over and expecting a different outcome. Well, in order to be in that situation, you must believe that there is no order, there is no balance, there's no logic. Because if you believed in order, balance, and logic, you would come to the conclusion, well, I keep doing the same thing over and over, and I am not getting the result that I expect. Well, logically, you got to change your actions. You know what I mean? So, if they get you to believe in chaos, well, then you don't believe in logic. You're just floating around out there with no structure, no. How the hell can you figure anything out? I would feel totally powerless. So, I believe in logic, order, balance. I believe there is a reason for everything. And I've experienced a lot of things in life that would have led other people in a different direction, but I always stayed... I always just believe that everything happens for a reason. I always believe there's some sort of logic, there's some sort of intelligence behind it. And as it turned out, that was the results I got in my life. So no matter what happened, no matter how bad it was, I always thought to myself, this is happening for a reason. This is trying to teach me something. Let me figure out what it's trying to teach me. So, if you want the full details on my life, watch my Why I Was Homeless videos, but I'll give you a quick rundown. So, I was laying sod, everything was going good, I'm making good money, my bills are paid, life is relatively easy, but I felt there was something missing. I was thinking maybe I should be a fireman, I don't know, I don't want to lay sod for the rest of my life, but it is working out for me, But then what happened was a bunch of hurricanes came through. I was living in Florida at the time. It was 2004. You can Google the 2004 Atlantic hurricane season and see that it was a wild one. And so what happened was in August of, I think it was 2004, Hurricane Charlie comes around. And that was just the first of many hurricanes to hit Florida that year. And so the result was, normally we would have worked till November, but between August and November of 2004, we had so many hurricanes that nobody was getting any sod done. So I couldn't make it through the whole winter because we never really worked in January and February. Or December, not really. February, we would start to pick up. So I couldn't make it August, September, October, November, December, January, February. I didn't have enough money in the bank to pay my bills for 7 months. So in December, I started doing construction. And I was thinking to myself, damn, I used to make a couple $1,000 a week doing sod. Now I'm making a couple hundred, but at least I've got job security. I'm learning carpentry, I'm learning concrete, I'm learning all phases of commercial construction. I was working for a commercial construction company. And, I was like, okay, I have to start over. I have to be broke for maybe a year. But as I invest in tools and I learn more, I'll be able to make more money. And that was what was happening for the next, 4 or 5 years. And then right around 2007, construction work started getting hard to come by, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Every time I start building up in life, it gets swept out from under me. I do believe in God, but what is God doing to me? Why can't I just make a living? And so, but I was thinking to myself, everything happens for a reason. So it seemed to me the reason that everything keeps getting swept out from under me through no fault of my own. Look, if it was my fault, I'd be the first to admit it, because then I could fix it. I can solve the problem. But when these outside forces are taking me out of business, what can I do about that? There was nothing I could do. The fucking, all of a sudden the economy's crashing. There's nothing I can do. And so I was thinking to myself, this has to be happening for a reason. Maybe the reason is you are not meant to just live this normal life and, hide in an apartment all week smoking weed and then spend your weekends going out getting hammered and acting like an idiot. Maybe God is trying to nudge you in a different direction. And so I was thinking, yeah, this maybe there is a reason. I'm trying to keep a positive attitude. Maybe I was bullshitting myself. Who knows? But the result was I started doing stand-up comedy, and I started kind of doing all kinds of different things. The next thing I know, through that financial crash of 2008, I lost my apartment. And so, but I was keeping a positive attitude. I was thinking to myself, well, now's your opportunity to invest more in doing your own things instead of just, going out and trying to cling to these jobs. And so I started doing stand-up. What I realized pretty quickly in stand-up is you got to work for free for probably a few years, maybe 10 years, before you're making money. So I was thinking to myself, that's useless to me. So, but I was dedicated to stand-up. And, watch my other videos for the details. But I end up in Las Vegas. I'm doing stand-up. I'm winning competitions. I'm making a little money here and there. I'm still thinking pretty positive. Then I end up back in New York. I'm doing stand-up. Things are going good. I'm making a name for myself, but there's still no money in it. So I go and get like another fucking telemarketing job. But anyways, long story short, then, I'm not going to go through the whole story, but then I ended up getting a good job at Belmont at the horse track. But what I quickly realized at Belmont was you're not going to be able to do stand-up if you got this job. You're working out on Long Island. You got to take the bus, meaning I am up at like 6 in the morning to catch the bus at 8. I got to be at Belmont by 8 a.m. So I got to get up at 6 in the morning, walk to the bus stop. And then, so I'm pretty much leaving my house at 7 a.m. and getting home at like 7 p.m. because I got to take the bus home and all this shit. I realized very quickly I can't really do stand-up. And then all of a sudden, my focus has kind of shifted towards having a day job, not stand-up anymore. Because I'm like, I ain't got time for this stand-up bullshit. Ain't nobody paying me anyway. I'm making very little money doing it. And so I'm kind of focused on Belmont. I'm just happy to be able to eat and shit again. Then all of a sudden, I get an email from one of the bookers at Caroline's on Broadway, which is a major comedy club in New York City. At this point, I'm almost giving up on stand-up. I'm doing like one open mic a week at the Creek in the Cave in Long Island City, one of the best comedy clubs in New York. It's not in New York anymore. It's in Austin now, the Creek in the Cave. But I was going there every Friday to do the open mic because I didn't have to work the next day. And I was also partying my ass off. I didn't even care that much about stand-up anymore. I was there to party with everyone just as much as to do stand-up, So I wasn't taking stand-up too seriously. I was going up every week at the Creek in the Cave with brand new material, just throwing shit at the wall to see what sticks. I didn't even care. You know what I mean? I cared. I don't want to bomb, but I didn't want to be sitting there burning up my good material. So I wasn't working on any set or anything. And so I'm working at Belmont, doing one open mic a week, you know, not putting together a tight set or anything. And all of a sudden, I'm at work at Belmont, and I get an email on my phone from one of the bookers at Caroline's saying, you know, we want you to try out. Comedy Central is doing this thing called Comics to Watch, and we want you to try out for it. This is what Caroline's is telling me. I had never even done Caroline's before. It's a major club in New York. And so I get this email, and I'm like, oh shit, this is the opportunity that I've been waiting for. Comedy Central credit, they're doing, and I'm not going to them. They're coming to me. So when I was first in New York, I was doing a lot of open mics, and I was trying out for a lot of things. And so word got around that I was a pretty good one-liner type comic, and that's a style that not many people use, so it's kind of in demand. So it got around to the bookers at Caroline's, and they're like, all right, let's give them a shot with the Comedy Central thing, get a little diversity in the lineup, you know, a one-liner comic. And so this is, I'm assuming that's what they were thinking. And so they send me the email saying, yeah, we want you to try out for the Comics to Watch thing. And I'm thinking, dude, if I get this Comedy Central credit, I can start getting booked, and I'm going to this is what I've been waiting for. The problem is, I've been doing one open mic a week, and I've been just doing random bullshit. I haven't even been working on a set. I don't even have a tight 5 or a tight 10 minutes. They want me to do, I think they wanted me to do 7 minutes at Caroline's that night. And so I am fucking nervous, to say the least. And so I'm thinking, okay, I got to shift back to doing stand-up. So I've got like maybe a week or two to prepare for this. And so I start trying to put together a tight 7 minutes. But you know, I'm not sure which jokes to put in. I'm not sure how clean I should be and this and that. And I was very fucking nervous. I felt like my life depended on this set. It was August 11th, I think 2011. You can look it up. You can Google it. Look up, so look up New York Comedy Festival. Look up Comedy Central Comics to Watch 2011. You'll see my name in the flyer. Who else was trying out for this? Maybe Sam Morrill. I know Michael Che was on it. Josh Rabinowitz, who's very funny. Sean Donnelly, I think his name is. Who else? Because there were some major comics. Maybe Mark Norman, maybe Joe List. They were on the scene at the time. I'm not sure if they were in this thing, but I don't know. So anyways, the day comes, and I think it was a Monday. And so I go to Caroline's, and I am fucking nervous because I feel like my whole life depends on this set. All right, we still got time. So I start drinking. And I'm drinking, and I'm drinking, and I'm drinking. I got my jokes written on my hand like a rookie, like a fool. And I go up on stage drunk, and I got my beer in my hand, and my jokes are written on my hand. And I'm going through my jokes, and they're working, but I'm drunk, and I'm looking like a fool. And then right at the last minute, I switched some things up. I wanted to put another joke here. Now, another thing when you're doing stand-up comedy, when you're on stage and they hit you with the light, so this is how you know you got 1 minute, roughly 1 minute to get off stage. It's to keep the show, it's so every comic who's booked gets to do their set. So when you're a stand-up comedian and you're doing your set and they hit you with the light from the back of the room, you know it's time to wrap it up. Try to get off stage within a minute or so. It's proper etiquette. You don't run the light. It's you know what I mean? So but here's the thing at Caroline's. they light you at 2 minutes. At Caroline's, they give you a little more leeway. They're saying, wrap it up, but you don't got to rush off stage. You got a couple minutes. But me, I'm trained from other sets that I've been doing where I know it's 1 minute. They hit you with the light, wrap it up and get the fuck off stage. You don't want to have a rep as someone who runs the light. No, it's a rude shit thing to do. Plenty of comics do it, but nobody likes it. There's some comics, they're all so goddamn narcissistic and like sociopathic that they want to end on a high note. So they know it's time to end the set, but they're like, I got to get one more big laugh. I've seen comics run the light by like 5 fucking minutes, and no other comics like it. No bookers like it. The audience doesn't know, but you don't do that. And so anyways, I'm up on stage doing my thing at Caroline's. It's not the best set I ever had. I've actually got it filmed. I've never even watched it. I was so traumatized by the experience. I was drunk. So they hit me with the light, and I panic. And I'm on stage for maybe another 20 seconds. I did one more joke, and I got off. So I knew. I knew right when I got off stage. I didn't have a bad set, but I didn't have a good enough set for them to give me this Comics to Watch, this Comedy Central credit. Nate Bargatze was hosting, and when I was getting off stage, Nate said to me, he's like, yo, your jokes are good, bro. Like, he was trying to be reassuring to me, saying, like, your problem is not your jokes. Your problem is you're a fucking drunken idiot. And you handled this whole thing like a fucking rookie. But your writing and your jokes, that ain't the problem. It is what, Nate was trying to be encouraging. I think he could sense that I was kind of dejected by my whole, But Nate Bargatze, that's one of the few comedians who I think is, first of all, hilarious. Second of all, actual good guy. You know what I mean? Like, not the sociopathic, narcissistic, trying to crush everyone in his path. Nah, he's one of the good ones, Nate Bargatze. And so, and I appreciated him for saying that to me. But I didn't get it. You know what I mean? And I was devastated. And I was thinking to myself, what's God's plan with this one? Here's everything you ever wanted. Let me snatch that out from under you one more time, buddy. And I was thinking to myself, I was blaming the job for it. I was thinking to myself, man, I've been through too much to just be clinging to this job now. And that opportunity blown, I ended up quitting the job not too long after that and ended up being homeless. Now, let's fast forward a decade or so. It's 2019. I've been homeless for like 7, 8, 9 years. And I'm finally getting things going again. It's 2019 now. And I'm doing portraits in Central Park. I'm about to start selling prints of my other drawings. I'm about to start making a lot of money. I figured everything out from the ground up. I built something now. Nobody can take it from me. How can they take it from me? I sell my own art on the street, and now I'm about to start selling prints. I'm about to my life is about to get good again. I'm going to rent a room, and I'm going to be working for myself. And I don't even fucking care about stand-up anymore because really, I'm making money creatively on my own. I am my own boss. I'm good. I don't care about stand-up. But once I get a room, maybe I'll start doing stand-up again just for fun. Who knows? I don't know. Next thing I know, COVID happens. Now, you got to think of it from my perspective. Like, once again, I finally got something built up. I find it after years of suffering and sacrifice and working, having everything taken from me multiple times through no fault of my own. I finally have something going again. And then COVID happens. Something completely out of my control swoops in and takes everything from me. And I'm like, maybe there is no God. Maybe there is no reason. Because what the fuck is the reason now? I mean, I shifted my entire lifestyle. I am now working for myself. Everything was going good. And now this is being taken from me. Maybe there is no order. Maybe there is no balance. Maybe there is no reason. Because what the fuck, dude? Like, up until that point, I was thinking to myself, well, the reason everything kept blowing up in my face is because God was trying to nudge me on a path where I was working for myself and doing something creative instead of doing some menial bullshit that I hate. It was, things were adding up in my head. I was thinking, yeah, there is a God, and he helped me out, put me through some hardships and shit. But when all is said and done, I built up a good little business here on the street, and nobody can take it from me. So thank God for all that. And then that got taken away with the COVID thing. I was like, what the fuck, dude? Like, wait a minute now. What's the reason for this? And I couldn't come up with one. And I was so broke at this time, eating at the soup kitchens and shit. I was like, what? I didn't even have the fucking energy to be philosophizing and shit. I was just trying to survive. Then, next thing I know, the unemployment comes through for me with all this back pay. I didn't think that was going to happen. I was thinking, what's going on here? What's God's reason here? Why couldn't he just leave me alone doing my thing in the park? I would have been making this money within a couple months anyway. What the fuck is this sense? Where's the reason for this? I was thinking to myself, trust God and know that, yeah, everything's happening for a reason. Maybe you can't figure it out now, but maybe in the future it'll make sense. Anyways, I end up buying a car to live in, and since I couldn't do portraits in New York, they shut down the whole tourist industry. I knew that the COVID restrictions in Florida were not as bad, so I was thinking, I'm going to go down to Florida, get a car to live in, and I'll figure it out from there. Maybe I'll do Uber Eats or something. And so I come back to Florida, I get a car to live in, and I start doing Uber Eats. But Uber Eats is not paying like I thought it would. And on top of that, I'm putting all these miles on my car and all this shit. I'm thinking to myself, Jesus, I would much rather be homeless in New York doing portraits and selling my prints, because at least then, I was making a lot more money and I could eventually rent a room. And I was like, what the hell is God doing to me? And so then I was like, well, maybe I need to start doing portraits again. Everything in my mind, I'm thinking everything happens for a reason. I got to figure out the reason. It's trying to teach me something. So I'm thinking, all right, do the portraits in the morning, or do Uber Eats in the morning, and the afternoon do the portraits in the evening. So that's what I started doing. The problem, because I knew it was going to take time to figure out the scene on Clearwater Beach to do portraits. I knew that the first couple months of doing it out there, I probably wasn't going to make a whole lot of money, because you got to figure out the cop situation, the street performer situation, the homeless, you got to figure it all out, because you don't want homeless people getting in fights, while you're trying to work right in front of you. All this crazy shit, you got to figure out the scene. So that's what I started doing. I'm not making much money with the portraits, but I'm trying to figure out the scene. I'm doing Uber Eats in the morning, but I'm thinking to myself, dude, I'm working like 10, 12 hours a day, and I'm barely getting by, and I live in a car. It's not like, it's not like I even have an apartment or a room or a house. I'm like, what the fuck? Why is, I was really starting to question God at this point. And then one day, I do my Uber Eats in the morning. In the afternoon, I go out to the beach to do portraits. You also got to realize I'm parking a half hour away from the beach. So I walk my half hour up to the beach because I don't want to pay to park. I ain't got the money like that. I go out there to do portraits. I'm out there for like 6 hours. And I made like $20. And I'm walking back to my car, and I am in a state of absolute rage. I'm thinking to myself, I don't know if God's real. If he's not real, then I've been wrong this whole time. If he is real, then he has led me from one disaster to the next. And he has let me build up a little bit, get a little bit of breathing room, and then swiped it out from under me throughout my entire life. And these are forces that I cannot control. Hurricanes, economic crash, COVID. These are things that I have no control over. So either there is no God, or there is a God, and he is just taking everything from me over and over for some reason. I don't know that fucking reason. But I was thinking to myself, I was walking back to my car. I was in a state of fucking rage. I wanted to scream. I was so angry. And I was thinking to myself, hold on, this guy, wait. I got my solar panel out there. This car was getting a little too close to it. Man, alright, we still got time. So, I'm thinking to myself, if there is a God, where's the sense in him taking everything from me over and over? But then I was thinking to myself, like, I was trying to make it make sense in my head. I was thinking to myself, maybe God is trying to help you, and there's some other powerful evil force that's taking everything from you. And I was thinking to myself, maybe if I switched loyalty to that evil force, maybe I would stop getting everything taken from me over and over. And I ain't gonna lie, I thought about it. I was thinking, maybe I should sell my soul to the devil or whatever, because this shit ain't working for me, and I am fucking sick of it. God has led me from one barren field to the next. He won't even let me have shelter and food. What's the point in being loyal to a God like that? He's either fucking with me, or he's too weak to help me, or he ain't even real. This is what I was thinking. And it occurred to me, I was thinking to myself, so maybe I should switch loyalties. And then I was thinking to myself, well, if God is real and he is trying to help me, I'm not going to abandon him just because there's some other force out there that maybe matches his strength, or maybe even has more power on earth. I'm not switching sides over that, because that's pussy. I'm staying on this side, and we're going to win in the long run, or whatever. I'm with God, bro. I came to the conclusion that I don't care if I have to spend the rest of my life in poverty, suffering. My loyalty stays with God. Even if I don't care, I'm with God, bro. If we lose, we lose. This is the side I'm on, and that's that. That's the conclusion I came to. And all of a sudden, I wasn't mad no more. I was actually sorry, to God. I was thinking to myself, stop blaming God, because God is not against you. Maybe there's something happened you don't understand, or it doesn't matter. Stop blaming God, because that's the side you're on, and that's that. And I was thinking to myself, I'm ready to face God's judgment right now. I will stand before God right now, and we can go over everything I ever did or said or thought in my life. I am ready for God's judgment, but I got some questions. Why did you let this happen to me over and over and over? And that's that. And so I'll ask him when I get there. But I am going to stop being bitter and angry and emotional. I'm going to stop blaming God, because that's the side I'm on, and that's that. And so, that's, if we lose, we lose. That's the side I'm on. And so it was like a pressure valve was opened up or something. I felt a lot more relaxed, and I was like, I'm from here on out, I am going to accept what comes. I am no longer going to blame God or question God or be upset or whatever. I'm staying. My loyalty stays with God, and that's that. I am not selling my soul. I don't care if I got to be in poverty for the rest of my life. And so, next thing I know, a couple months later, after that experience, 6 hours out on Clearwater Beach, I made $20. I stopped doing the portraits. I was like, I am not wasting my time. 6 hours, 7, 8 hours of my day to go make $20. I'm just doing Uber Eats. So that's what I started doing. A couple months later, my car starts breaking down real bad. I didn't blame God. I said, okay. I can't really do Uber Eats anymore because my car is barely running. And I mean, it was bad. And so I said, all right, I'm going to park over by Clearwater Beach. My car is now a house. I picked a good parking lot in downtown Clearwater, and I stopped driving my car. And I was also thinking, maybe I'll try to do some street performing stand-up on Clearwater Beach at night. This is in like December of 2022. I have like no money. I got like 2 cigarettes. The only food I have is like emergency Mountain House food. And things are not looking good. And I'm thinking to myself, I wasn't blaming God. I was thinking to myself, I'm going to start doing portraits, and I don't care what it takes. I'm going to save up my money. I am going to abandon this car. I'm getting on that train. I'm going back to New York City, and I'm going back to my plan, which was in place before COVID. And that's that. No blame, no upset. I wasn't even angry. I accepted the situation. And, you know, another thing outside of my control, taking everything from me. My car's breaking down. I can't afford to fix it. I can't work. I can't do Uber Eats. What I can do is portraits. I was grateful for that. But for my experience doing portraits on Clearwater Beach, it really doesn't pay that well. But at least I can make something. So that's what I do. So that night, I was thinking, I get down to downtown Clearwater. I was like, let me walk out to the beach tonight. Maybe I can pull a crowd and do some stand-up and street perform. I get out to Clearwater Beach that night, and there's nobody. It's cold. It's December. It's Florida cold. It's like 50 degrees. Not a whole lot of people out at the beach. I have zero hope of pulling a crowd and doing stand-up and street performing. I get out there, and I swear I almost wanted to cry. I am an emotional person, but I am not the type to cry. My emotions usually go to anger, but I wasn't angry. I was too beaten down to be angry. So I walk out to Clearwater Beach. There is no crowd. There is no hope of pulling a crowd. I sit down on a bench, and I wanted to cry, but I didn't cry. I smoked a cigarette, and I sat there with like a blank. It was almost like I got hit by a car or something. I couldn't even think. And so I was like, street performance out of the question. There's like 5 people on the whole beach. So I was like, let me scout the area and ask some questions and see what's up. So I walk over to where the bars are at. The bouncers are outside and shit. And I'm talking to them. I'm like, yo, why is it so fucking dead out here tonight? They're like, dude, it's going to be dead out here till May. Till like February when the spring breakers come back. He's like, this is the dead season, bro. That's what they're telling me. I'm like, are you fucking serious? I'm like, what about all the snowbirds and shit? They're like, that's not really the beach crowd, man. They're like, the beach is booming from like, February till like August, September, but we're pretty slow this time of year. And I was like, oh fuck. I was like, street performance out of the question. I'll be lucky if I make anything with the portraits. They're telling me it's dead. So I'm like, oh fuck, man. I'm asking multiple people around the beach. They're all telling me the same thing. I'm like, oh fuck, it ain't looking good for me, man. I got to get my money back up, get on that train, and go back to New York. And so, so the next day I wake up, I make my coffee, I drink it, and I head out to the beach to do portraits. And it's actually not going too bad. I'm getting a couple portraits here and there. My money, you got to realize I woke up that morning, $0 again. I was so sick of it at this point. Anyways, I get out there. While I'm doing these portraits, my phone is going nuts. And, finally I look at it. Apparently, I've got a video on YouTube going viral, and I'm picking up fucking hundreds of thousands of views all of a sudden. And I'm like, what the fuck is this, dude? And I'm also picking up thousands of subscribers. Or no, hundreds. And I'm like, dude, my YouTube is about to be monetized. I haven't put up a YouTube video in like months. I put up a couple shorts like last month. one of my videos is going viral. And so, but the other thing I realized was, you know, this time when I went out to do the portraits on Clearwater, I went straight to Pier 60. I had been trying all kinds of spots all over Clearwater Beach, and I came to the conclusion, even though I hadn't done portraits in like 2 months, I was thinking my best bet is the pier right now. So I go out there. And what I didn't realize is, had I been doing the pier every day, I would have been making a lot more money. But I was scouting the area out. So anyways, I'm doing my portraits on the pier. I get up to about 50, 60 bucks. And on top of that, my YouTube is blowing the fuck up. And then all of a sudden, and I have $0 except for what I just made doing portraits. Then all of a sudden, I got people adding me on Instagram and sending me messages like, hey, that video you made really touched me or whatever. I want to send you some money. I'm not kidding you, bro. And so I'm like, oh, here's my Cashapp, or here's my PayPal or Venmo. I was like, let me put it in the description. And so people were sending me money. Not a lot, $1 here, $2 there. But then this one lady sent me like 100. And I was like, and then the next day, it rained for the next 2 days. And I was thinking to myself, dude, I think God was maybe just testing my fucking loyalty. I don't know, but, you know, but I can tell you one thing. Everything just went from real bad to pretty fucking good in a matter of hours. And I was thinking to myself, man, I'm glad I stayed with God, you know what I mean? Because, and ever since then, I've been working on YouTube and Patreon, you know what I mean? So, I guess the point in this video is, don't lose faith, bro. You know what I mean? Don't ever get too down. And let me tell you something else. Don't get too angry and upset, because that frequency draws more bad shit to you when you're on that frequency. The main difference, I think, with this last disaster, when my car was breaking down, I couldn't do Uber Eats, I swear to you, I didn't get angry. I didn't get all emotional. I thought to myself, it is what it is. I'm going to take it like a pro. I'm not going to sit here crying and complaining and blaming God and being angry and being a baby. It is what it is. I'm going to do the best I can with it. And that's what I did. I parked my car. I did the portraits. I was going to try to, you know, I was thinking, you know, you can be as upset as you want to be. It doesn't help. It doesn't make a difference. You got to do what you got to do to get your shit back together. You got to get your money up to get on that train and get back to New York, and we'll take it from there. Ain't no upset, no nothing. I was stoic. I was determined, and that hold on. Anyways, so, and that was that, dude. I handled it properly, and I do believe that, you know, in hindsight, one of the reasons things kept going bad for me was because the frequency that I was on, I would get so angry and upset and worried, and it was, you know what I'm saying? Hopefully this video makes sense. But you know, it's 40 minutes. I gotta end it. So I appreciate y'all. Thanks for the subs. Thanks for the likes. Thanks for the tips. Thanks for the channel members, and thanks for the Patreons especially. And so that's the end of this video. You know, I'm getting a lot of people wanting me back on my other channel. Trust me, it's coming. I got big plans for that other channel. And it ain't gonna be me sitting there playing video games. I got way better shit to do than that. I'll explain it on the other channel, but I appreciate y'all. If you want to respond to your comment, try to get it in the first 30 comments. And yeah, I'll see you on the next one. Everyone have a good one.